Hey everyone, I'm Alan Thrall, and in this video I'm going to discuss the question, how much weight should I be lifting? More importantly, more excitedly, I'm going to talk about when should I add weight to the bar, dumbbell, or machine. Now, I'm not going to specifically talk about exactly how much weight you should be lifting. A general answer to that, the majority of your work in the gym, your working sets, should be between 60 to 90% of your 1 rep max. Sometimes higher than 90% if you're chasing strength performance. Another general answer to that question is 0 to 3 reps shy of failure. So whatever weight you need, whatever weight or effort you need to get to that level, that's how much weight you should be lifting. Now, I'm having this discussion with you, or really with myself, because I want to talk about when you know it's time to add weight to the bar. When I was jotting down some notes, I realized I can't answer this question without discussing common loading protocols, effort, RPE, RIR, just add 5 lbs, etc. And I want to compare these units of measurement, these different units of measurements, and list some pros and cons of each style. So to start, if you are a total beginner to lifting weights, you are green as a first phase recruit, you should follow a simple elementary effort scale that I'm just going to make up right now. Easy, moderately challenging, difficult. And I'll simplify it even further. Easy, medium, hard. Your working sets, the majority of work you do in the gym, should feel medium to hard, moderately challenging to difficult. Anyone can use this scale. We all have our own internal definition of what easy, medium, hard is. And this puts the lifter in the driver's seat to learn how to appropriately add weight to the bar or figure out how much weight they should be lifting without complicating things. I hate complicating things. When I'm talking to a new lifter in the gym or just friends and family who are thinking about getting into lifting weights, I don't want to start with a bunch of preamble about RPE or percentages. There's nothing wrong with those things. I just don't want to talk about it on day one. And when I am coaching a new lifter for the first time, granted, they have the advantage of having me, a coach there to help them select weight, but I just use weight on the bar to control bar speed. And I encourage the lifter to ask themselves after each set, was that easy, was that medium, or was that hard? And if they're in the ballpark of that is moderately challenging, that's a good starting point. And yes, technique does fall under the umbrella of this effort scale. It should be moderate to difficult or medium to hard while still maintaining good technique. I think that all beginners have their own internal definition of easy, medium, hard. What I used to do is just look at bar speed as a coach. And I would say, okay, last rep kind of slows down, we'll stop there. But not all beginners are equal. So here's an example of 2 different beginners, completely new to lifting weights. These are both people that I've worked with. One individual, 35, 40 years old, never lifted in their lives, never done anything physically active in their life. Once the bar speed starts to slow down, they rack the bar, and I might say, how hard is that? And they say, yeah, that was moderately challenging. I'm at medium. Cool, good starting point there. Then I have another beginner lifter who's never lifted before, but they are a youngin' and they recently finished cross country. So while they've never lifted weights, they've run 2 miles at maximum effort. So their internal definition of what hard work is going to be higher than the other person. So if I was to do the same kind of metric to say, okay, bar speed's starting to slow down, let's stop there, and which I've done, and they say like, this isn't even scratching the surface of hard, I could push a lot further. So they do. And so I just wait until they are at the internal rating of this is medium to difficult, we'll start there. So while this basic effort scale is easy to learn, eventually you're gonna need a more accurate way of determining weight on the bar. This is, I'm talking like the first month or so, you can just use this easy, medium, hard metric unit of measurement to determine effort and weight on the bar. You ever thought about just adding 5 pounds? Just add 5 pounds, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, is straightforward. There's no guesswork, and new lifters like to not have to think. This is why Starting Strength program is so appealing to new lifters. It's these 3 or 4 basic exercises, workout A, workout B, just add 5 pounds. Seems easy enough. I like it. I'll do it. I do think that this just add 5 pounds can be good at some point. I think that some new lifters need this encouragement. Don't be timid, just add 5 pounds. You can do it, I promise. And sometimes adding weight to the bar, just adding 5 pounds, whether you want to or not, is exactly what a new lifter needs. Having more weight on their back or in their hands is going to help them maybe reach full range of motion, maybe touch their chest. It's going to help with mobility and flexibility on the squat to have a little bit more weight on their back. But most importantly, having weight on the bar makes the lifter more aware of balance and bar path. You can't just practice with a broomstick week after week. It's not going to give you enough feedback. It's not going to give you enough tactile feedback. You need to feel and work against gravity. You need some resistance. It's called resistance training. But I will say, there is no special power found to the 5 pounds each session approach. I don't want to make too much of this video about starting strength. I don't want to come across as a starting strength hater. In fact, I know, there is no other program. Starting Strength has introduced more people to barbell training than any other program in existence. And a lot of other beginner programs are just a rip-off of Starting Strength. Pun intended, okay, rip. Mad Cow 5x5, Strongless 5x5, Ice Cream Fitness 5x5, Gray Skull 3x5, and plenty of others. They're all basically Starting Strength with some additions. But I do think there are better loading protocols than just blindly adding 5 pounds every session. And then doing that until you can't. Taking weight off the bar, adding 5 pounds, failing, taking weight off the bar, adding 5 pounds, getting injured, taking weight off the bar, adding 5 pounds, failing, lowering the reps, failing, lowering the reps down to just doing one set of 1 rep, and then failing that, and just quitting and saying, lifting weights isn't for me. I know this is a bit hyperbolic, but I've heard stories very similar to this. Beginners often fall into the trap of thinking that they need to add weight every session or else they are wasting their time. Believe me, I'll admit I've contributed to this trap with some of the things I've said over the past 10 years. We seem to think that if I've already done this workout with this weight, repeating it is just a waste of time. Or even worse, doing less than what I did last week means that I'm regressing. How stupid do we think our biology is? So you're telling me that if I did 150 pounds for 3 sets of 8 reps last week, if I do that same workout again this week, it's no longer a stimulus, it's doing nothing for me, it's just a waste of time? Or if I do 140 pounds for 3 sets of 8 reps, so less weight this week than I did last week, that I'm somehow losing muscle or losing strength? And if that's the case, I might as well just skip the workout and just hold on to this strength that I have. This is idiotic to think. If you do the same workout 3 days a week, and you repeat that week 2, week 3, week 4, for an entire month, the same workout, is the net value, the net benefit, the net profit only 1 week of good training? All those other 3 weeks are wasted? Of course not. That's 1 month of effort and consistency if you're training with the appropriate weight. So I'll come back to this later because I have more to say, but I want to move on and talk a little bit about percentages and RPE. Percentage-based training refers to, I have a 1 rep max, I'm going to take 70% of it and do it for this many reps. Percentage-based training doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a beginner because you would need to know your 1 rep max in order to calculate those training percentages. And even if you did find your 1 rep max on day 1, it might not translate well to lower weights or lower percentages, because your technique and your confidence and lack of experience under the bar is going to limit your ability to truly express a 1 rep max. And as a beginner, you're probably going to progress so quickly in technique and confidence that these training percentages are now actually lower than they should be. Also, if your program contains more than just squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, you're not going to be able to calculate percentages for variations of those movements, for dumbbell work, for pull-ups, push-ups, bodyweight work, machine work, which, contrary to popular belief, beginners can do. You can do more than just squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press. Beginners are not that physically and mentally inept. Again, you can learn more than 3 exercises. So about percentage-based training, anyways, I'm getting off the topic here. Candido's programs are percentage-based, and I know a lot of people have had great success following those. 5-3-1 and Juggernaut Method are also percentage-based. A lot of people like those programs. However, I would argue that they are a little more linear progression because you're just adding 5 pounds to upper body lifts and 10 pounds to lower body lifts every month. So while the first month is percentage based, it's pretty much just linear progression, just adding weight. Unless you are recalculating your training max at the end of each month on the 5-3-1 week, It's just kind of like a add 5 pounds workout or program. But moving on. The last thing I'll say about percentage-based training is last fall, I actually followed a percentage-based deadlift program. I was trying to increase my deadlift, and I was trying to have my deadlift be the same as my mile time. And I followed a deadlift-only percentage-based program. I don't really like percentage-based training, especially in the last 5 years, but I had great success with it. I can't argue with it. So this is one of the advantages of percentage-based training. I knew exactly what weights I was supposed to hit for the entire 10 to 12 weeks, however long that program was. And I went into each session determined to lift those weights to the exact 5 pounds. And I did. I never missed one rep, never missed one session. I was able to do it in its entirety for the entire program. So for strength-based intermediate programs, percentages can work, but the individual has to be very consistent, which I was. If you lack consistency, for whatever reason, percentage-based training is going to eat you alive. And so just like the add 5 pounds approach, I think that percentage-based training can be too rigid. 75% of my 1 rep max for 8 reps is not the same stimulus on any given day. On every day, that is not the same stimulus. So on a normal day, 75% for 8 reps might result in a RPE 8 effort. I've got 2 reps left in the tank, 2 RIR, perfect. Well, on a day when I'm feeling really good, I'm excited, I'm motivated, I got the perfect song on, I'm focused on training, I got a belly full of breakfast. That might feel like a warm-up, 75% for 8 reps. I got 3 to 4 reps left in the tank, so it wasn't heavy enough. On a bad day, that might feel like RPE 10. I've got 0 reps in reserve. It was heavier than I would like it, and I'm not as strong as I was on the day that I maxed out. And so it resulted in RIR 0. So it was heavier than it should have been. The training stimulus was too high. On a really, really bad day when I haven't been sleeping well, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I've got a whole bunch of fatigue built up for my program, my head is not in the right headspace for this workout, but I'm going to do it anyways because the program says 75% and I'm a gosh dang man, so I'm going to do it, and I end up failing and only getting 5 reps. So 75% for 8 reps. It's the same weight, it's the same reps, it's a different stimulus on a different day. So how do we fix this? Enter RPE or RIR, aka auto-regulation. That's a lot of acronyms. I've talked about RPE at length, so I'll only briefly cover it now, but RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. Basically, how many more reps could you have done before reaching failure? So it's a 1 through 10 scale. RPE 10 would mean that you have 0 reps left in the tank. If I did 100 pounds for 5 reps at RPE 10, I could not have done the 6th rep. RPE 9 means you have 1 rep in the tank. RPE 8 means you have 2 reps in the tank. RIR, or reps in reserve, is just an inverted version of that. RIR 0 would be RPE 10. RIR 1 would be RPE 9. It takes time to learn and trust RPE. It might not be completely accurate at first, and that's okay as long as your rating is consistent. The specific weight you lift does not matter as much as the effort you put forth. So I really want you to pay attention to what I'm saying here. Hopefully I'm saying this clear. The weight on the bar is just used as a way to match the desired effort. It is not the weight that comes first and then you have to slap yourself in the face and put forth effort to match that. Hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Hope you're deadlifting the bar that I'm loading. Now, if we bring it back to the whole just add 5 pounds thing, this concept of progressive overload states that you need to increase intensity or weight over time in order to get stronger. This is the story of Milo, who carried a calf every day. As the calf grew each day, Milo grew stronger and stronger. And we try to replicate this with barbell training by just adding some chips on the bar, adding 5 pounds every session. Hate to break it to you, but we aren't all as alpha as Milo. The term progressive overload insinuates or suggests that we must overload our muscles in order to get stronger. So you have to add weight, force yourself to do it, and that's what makes you stronger. But maybe this isn't exactly how it works. Maybe instead of the term progressive overload, we start using the term progressive loading. Now, Barbell Medicine brought this to my attention. They've got an article and a podcast about it. I don't want to hijack this concept as my own. For further investigation, go check out Barbell Medicine stuff. But this is a classic case of what came first, the chicken or the egg. So do we add weight to the bar, force ourselves to do it, and then get stronger by doing it? Or do we repeatedly do something, get stronger, and then add weight to the bar in order to keep up with our newly earned strength? So let me give you an example of this. If I squat 300 pounds for 6 reps on week 1, and I say RPE 8, 2 RIR, I had 2 reps left in the tank, 2 reps before failure. The next week I squat 305 pounds, so 5 pounds more, for the same 6 reps. This time I rate it a little more difficult, it's RPE 9. I've only got 1 rep left in the tank. And the third week I squat 310 pounds, 5 pounds more than last week, 10 pounds more than the week before. But this time it was maximum effort. I've got 0 reps left in the tank, RPE 10. I'm increasing the weight every week, but am I getting stronger? Am I getting stronger, or am I just adding weight to the bar? Am I adding weight to the bar and the effort is increasing along with it? Am I adding weight to the bar but my technique is falling apart? Maybe I'm squatting a little bit higher. Maybe I'm bouncing the bar off my chest more on the bench press. Am I adding weight to the bar and it's getting harder, like you would expect, like it should? Is this progressive overload of me forcing myself to do heavier weight actually making me stronger? Or a different scenario, if I was to just progressively load my muscles over time and wait for those 6 reps with 300 pounds to feel easier. So week 1, the effort was RPE 8. I had 2 reps left in the tank, 2 reps shy of failure. Week 3, it feels a little bit easier. RPE 7, I've now got 3 reps left in the tank. And then let's say on week 6, I'm still doing that 300 pounds for 6 reps, and it feels like RPE 6. I've got 4 reps left in the tank. I'm not adding weight to the bar, but that same weight is getting subjectively easier. And this entire video leads me to this point. Increase weight on the bar or on the machine once it feels noticeably easier. Once it's not enough weight to trigger the correct stimulus. If the goal is to get 0 to 2 reps shy of failure, and now it feels like I'm 3 to 4 reps shy of failure, it's time to add weight. So you see, the effort comes first, the weight comes second. It is not the weight that reigns supreme and then the effort just has to match it. I don't force weight on the bar and expect to just do it and grow bigger muscles because I did it. GVS says it beautifully: earn your progress. Master that weight, own the weight, control that weight, show that you are in control of that weight. And once it no longer pushes you to where you want to go, to that effort, then you can add weight. So I'd like to leave you with some practical advice for adding weight to the bar. If you have, let's say, 3 sets of 8 reps at RP 8, that's listed in your program for the next 8 weeks, the next 2 months. Most people would look at that and say, really? I mean, I'm lifting the same weight for 8 weeks? It's not going to do anything for me. It's not necessarily the case. You don't need to stress about adding weight each week. You should not be forcing weight on the bar. Here's how I would navigate this if I was in this situation: 3 sets of 8 at RP 8 for the next 8 weeks. After establishing a appropriate weight or a weight range for my 3 sets of 8 reps at RP 8 on week 1, I would wait to increase the weight until the point where that weight feels noticeably easier than RP 8. And I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm going to be honest. If it's an RP 9, I'm not going to say, yeah, sure, it's an RP 8. If it's an RP 10, I'm not going to call it an 8. I'm going to be honest with my assessment here. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to earn my progress. Once it feels like less than RPE 8, I'm going to add weight to the bar. But here's how. Rather than increasing weight for all 3 sets, I'm just going to add weight on 1 set and on the back end. So on week 1, if I did 3 sets of 8 with 250 pounds, I'm not going to jump to 3 sets of 8 with 255 pounds. I'm going to increase the weight on the 3rd set first. So I'll do 250, 250 if it's feeling easier than it should. If it's feeling like I need to go heavier, 255 on the last set. And then the next progression would be 250, 255, 255. Eventually moving to 255 for all 3 sets across the board. So rather than front loading the progression and adding it to the first set and then feeling like you're stuck, just wait it out to the last set. If you have the juice and the motivation to add weight on the last set, do it. And this can apply to dumbbells or machines too. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and always remember, Cannon time!